My mom always said family comes first. What she meant was, my brother comes first. I was the wallet, the scapegoat, the backup plan. He wrecked cars, skipped bills, and guess who picked up the pieces? Me. But when she tried to dump her debt on me, in court, no less, I stopped playing the good son. I stopped swallowing the guilt. And I made sure the court saw exactly who she was. This isn't a story about money. It's about blood, and how mine was the only one being drained. I'm Eric. I'm 32, a software engineer from Phoenix, Arizona, and the black sheep of the family, which in my mom's dictionary means the responsible one who doesn't need help. My brother Kyle? He's 34, the golden boy who's totaled 3 cars, quit 5 jobs, and still gets homemade lasagna every Sunday. I spent most of my life trying to earn my mom's respect, pay for her utilities, cover Kyle's messes, keep things civil, until one day, I found out she'd taken out loans in my name, without asking. And when I confronted her, she shrugged, said I owed it to family. That's when something in me snapped. Back then, I had no idea where this would lead. But if you stick around till the end, you'll see why I stopped giving second chances. And hey, maybe you'll want to send it to someone who needs to hear it. It was Kyle's birthday, which meant, as always, my mom turned her house into a shrine of forced celebration. Streamers, balloons, his favorite barbecue ribs, the works. I showed up with a decent bottle of bourbon and my usual mild dread. Kyle greeted me like he always does, half hug, half pat, with the smug grin of a man who knows the world will catch him when he falls. Yo, thanks for this, he said, eyeing the bottle. Been broke since mom paid off that Chase thing for me. I blinked. Chase thing? Yeah, he said, lowering his voice. That loan you got approved for? The one mom used to cover my rent last year. He laughed like it was an inside joke. You're a lifesaver, man. I swear. I didn't laugh. I didn't even smile. I just nodded, then excused myself and went outside to take a call. What I really did was pull up my credit report on my phone. 10 minutes. That's all it took. 10 minutes and a few taps. And suddenly I'm staring at 3 open personal loans I'd never taken, totaling over $27,000. One of them had gone delinquent. I had no idea who the creditor even was. My throat went dry. That sick, hollow pit opened in my chest, the one that says, this isn't just a mistake. This is personal. I looked back through the window. Mom was laughing. Kyle had his arm around her like the king of the world. They looked like a team. And I was the idiot who hadn't realized I was just the emergency fund. The bourbon bottle felt heavier now. I slipped back inside, mumbled something about work, and left early. No cake. No fake smiles. On the drive home, I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I just drove in silence, white-knuckling the steering wheel. By the time I parked, my mind was already spinning one question on repeat. What else have they done behind my back? I barely slept that night. I kept thinking maybe I misread something. Maybe it was a clerical error. Maybe Chase had me confused with someone else. But in the morning, after 3 cups of coffee and a cold shower, I sat down at my laptop and did a full deep dive. Pulled reports from all 3 bureaus. Paid for the extras. Sat there with my heart pounding like I was checking the results of a biopsy. And there it was. Crystal clear. $8,000 loan from Liberty Finance. $12,500 loan from Castle Funding. $6,700 store credit line, maxed out. All in my name. All opened within the last 2 years. All with mailing addresses tied to my mom's house, not mine. One had my email. One had hers. But they all had my social. I felt like someone had reached into my chest and pulled out the floor of my stomach. I hadn't co-signed anything. I hadn't authorized squat. But the paperwork, the digital signatures, the mailing trail, pointed straight back to home base. And here's the worst part. I realized I might have ignored the signs. The little offhand comments from Kyle, the weird mail that used to show up when I lived at home. The way my mom once joked, if you ever win the lottery, remember who gave birth to you. Back then, I laughed. Now, I couldn't breathe. I called Liberty Finance, pretending to be a confused borrower. The rep was helpful, too helpful. Confirmed the loan had been applied for online, verified via email and phone call. I asked, do you happen to have a voice print or phone record of that call? She hesitated. We do keep audio logs for quality control. I gave her the exact date and time, info from the credit report, and asked if there was any way to send me the transcript. She said she'd have to escalate it. That night, I sat at my desk with the lights off, just the computer glow in my face, and the worst thought hit me. She didn't make a mistake. She made a choice. This wasn't borrowing. It was fraud. And the one person who was supposed to protect me, the one who raised me, had decided I was a better resource than a son. I didn't call her. I didn't call Kyle. I opened a new folder on my desktop, family theft evidence. Then I started dragging in screenshots, PDF exports, copies of emails, dates, addresses, every little crack I could pry open. I didn't know where this was heading yet, but I knew one thing. I wasn't going to let this die in silence. Not this time. I waited 3 days. Not because I was unsure. I just wanted to make sure I didn't go in angry. If I blew up, she'd shut down. If I stayed calm, she might talk, and I needed her to talk. So I showed up on a Saturday afternoon, holding a grocery bag with almond milk and bananas, pretending I was just stopping by. She hugged me like nothing was wrong. "Look at you," she said. "Working too hard again?" "Something like that," I said. "Mind if I sit for a bit?" She offered tea. I accepted. We chatted for a few minutes. Kyle wasn't there. She mentioned he was out handling things. I nodded, waiting for the right moment. Finally, I set the cup down. "Hey, quick thing. I got a weird alert from Chase the other day. Thought I'd paid off that card years ago. But it said something about a new loan, tied to your address." Her face didn't flinch. Not even a flicker. "Oh, that," she said. "That must be a mix-up. You know how these banks are." I said. "It listed my social." She shrugged, like I'd brought up bad weather. "Well, maybe it was an old account from when you lived here." "Mom," I said, voice calm but firmer. "It's dated 2023. I haven't lived here since 2020. Still nothing. Just that fake smile." And that's when I knew, really knew, she'd done it. I took out my phone and slid it onto the table, screen down but recording. I didn't care if it was admissible. I needed to hear it later. For myself. I leaned in. "You didn't open anything in my name?" She sipped her tea, eyes steady. "Of course not. What kind of mother do you think I am?" That stung. Not because it wasn't obvious, but because she said it like I was the one crossing a line. Like questioning her made me the villain. So I tried one last thing. I pulled out a copy of the Liberty Finance letter, the one that got mailed to her house. "This showed up here," I said. "Any idea why?" She glanced at it. "Barely. No clue. Maybe a clerical thing." She got up and started clearing dishes like the conversation was over. And I realized then, she wasn't going to confess. Not unless I made her. Not unless I forced the truth out, with consequences she couldn't wave away. I ended the recording. "All right," I said, rising slowly. "Thanks for the tea. Take care." She kissed my cheek at the door. "Don't stress too much, honey. Life's too short." That line sat in my head like a ticking clock. I got in my car, played back the recording, listened to her lie so easily, so smoothly. The practiced innocence, the deflection. She'd done it before. I just hadn't caught her. But this time I had receipts. I spent the next week doing what I do best, research. I work in cybersecurity. My job is to trace bad actors through digital footprints. And now I was treating my own mother like an intruder in the system. Because that's exactly what she was. I contacted all 3 financial institutions directly. Castle Funding gave me the most to work with. After a little back and forth and identity verification, I got a copy of the loan application packet. There it was, my name, my SSN, my employer, my salary, and my mother's IP address logged on the application timestamp. The kicker? The voicemail verification from the number she still used. I recognized it immediately. Same honey-sweet tone she used when calling to remind me about dentist appointments. I downloaded everything, labeled it, backed it up to the cloud. I wasn't scared anymore. Just disgusted. I got the Liberty Finance rep on the phone again. Asked for the voice logs. She said, "I can't send them directly to you, but I can read back the transcript." "Go ahead," I said. She cleared her throat. "Hi. Yes, this is Karen Miller confirming the loan in Eric's name. Yes, he knows. Yes, I'm authorized to act on his behalf. My full name. Twice. My own mother committed verbal identity theft and didn't even bother to disguise her voice. When I hung up, I realized my hands were shaking, and that's when my phone buzzed. "Kyle." I stared at the screen for a few seconds, then answered. "Yo," he said. "What's your deal lately? Mom said you came by and acted weird." "Weird?" I said. "Yeah, like accusing her of stuff. Talking about loans and fraud. You trying to give her a heart attack or something?" I laughed. Actually laughed. "You know about the loans, don't you?" He went quiet. Just for a second. Then, "Man," She told me you agreed to help cover some things. That you were stepping up after all that tech money you made. Step up? I snapped. She stole my ID, Kyle? That's not stepping up. That's a felony. Oh, come on, he said. It's family. You act like she robbed a bank. She robbed me. He sighed. You're being dramatic. She only did it because you never need help. You're always acting like you're above the rest of us. That one hit deep. Not because it was true, but because it was exactly how they all saw me. Responsible equals arrogant. Boundaries equal betrayal. She didn't ask, I said. She stole. Yeah. Well, maybe don't make such a big deal out of it. You're lucky you can afford it. He hung up. No apology. No denial. Just entitlement. It was official. I wasn't dealing with a misunderstanding. I was dealing with a system. One that had run on guilt, silence, and assumed forgiveness for decades. But I had a new fuel now. Documentation. And this machine? I was about to break it apart, piece by piece. I didn't sleep the night before I confronted her. Not out of fear. Out of calculation. I needed to be clear. Controlled. Clinical. No yelling. No begging. Just truth, followed by consequences. I drove to her house around noon on a Sunday. She was in the garden, clipping the dead heads off her roses like nothing in the world was wrong. Eric, she beamed. You didn't say you were coming. I walked up the path slowly. We need to talk. She wiped her hands on her apron. About what? Inside. Her smile faltered just a little. But she let me in. We sat in the living room, the same couch where she used to read me bedtime stories. Now it felt like a courtroom. I didn't ease in this time. I spoke to the banks, I said. Castle, Liberty, and the store card. I have copies of the loan applications. IP logs. Voice transcripts. She blinked. I have everything, Mom. Don't lie again. A pause. Then, well, she said slowly. If you're going to be this cold about it. No, I cut her off. Not cold. Just done. She scoffed. Done with what? Helping your own mother? You didn't ask for help. You committed identity theft. Oh, please, she snapped. Don't act like you're some victim. You make 6 figures, Eric. You've got savings. A condo. Meanwhile, your brother. There it is, I said. Your real son. Her face hardened. Kyle's had a hard life. No, I said. He's had a soft life and never paid for it. You've always had it easier, she hissed. You were smart. Independent. You didn't need the attention. But I did need the truth, I said. And some basic respect. She turned away, her lips trembling. I did what I had to. You'll understand when you're a parent. No, I said quietly. I'll understand how not to be like you. That stung. I saw it in her shoulders. I'm giving you one chance, I continued. Repay the debts. Admit what you did. We can handle it privately. No cops. No court. And if I don't, I file a police report tomorrow morning. And I give them everything I've collected. She looked at me like she didn't recognize me. Like I was some stranger who just walked into her house and made threats. I thought you loved this family, she whispered. I do, I said. Enough to stop letting it bleed me dry. I stood. Her voice followed me like smoke. You'll tear us apart. I turned at the door. No, I said. You already did. I'm just turning on the lights. And then I left. No hug. No fake warmth. Just the door clicking shut behind me. Like a coffin sealing a version of me I'd finally buried. That night, I uploaded all the files into a shared Google Drive. Then I drafted the police report. By sunrise, it was submitted. And the system she built on guilt was officially out of my hands. The detective who called me sounded tired, like he'd seen 100 cases like this and was already bracing for family drama. Mr. Miller, he said, we reviewed your documents. Pretty thorough. So let me ask, what outcome are you hoping for here? Justice, I said. And repayment. He chuckled. That's rare. Most people just want someone locked up. I want my name cleared, I said. And I want her to finally face a consequence. Even if it's just on paper. 2 days later, a formal case number was assigned. And my mother received a visit. She didn't call me. Kyle did. I was at work when the call came in. Unknown number, but I knew the voice instantly. Are you proud of yourself? He growled. Excuse me. Mom called me crying. She got served. You're actually trying to ruin her life over some paperwork. It's not paperwork, I said. It's a felony. She's your mother, Eric. No, I said calmly. She's a grown woman who forged a legal identity to steal money. Stop dressing it up. He scoffed. You think this makes you look strong? You're just proving what we always knew. You don't care about this family. There it was again. That twisted guilt. Like I was the one who broke something that had never been whole to begin with. Tell her to get a lawyer, I said. And tell her this is still her chance to make it right. The DA's offering a cooperation deal. Unbelievable, he muttered. You always thought you were better than us. I didn't respond. Because I was. Not because I made more money, but because I never lied. Never stole. Never used family as a personal ATM. That week was a war zone. Texts from cousins I hadn't spoken to in years. Voicemails from aunts and uncles I didn't even know were still alive. All the same message. How could you do this to your mother? No one asked what she did to me. Not one. I didn't answer any of them. I just kept forwarding evidence to the DA's office and watching the slow machinery of the law grind forward. 3 weeks after the case opened, her lawyer filed a response. Plea negotiation. She wanted to avoid jail time. She was willing to pay restitution over 5 years, plus fines, if they dropped the felony and file it as a misdemeanor with no jail. I said yes. I wasn't after blood. I was after clarity. The next day, I got a check in the mail, the first of many. $371.42. From a woman who used to bake my birthday cakes and tell me I was born to lead. The irony? That check was the first time she'd ever given me money in my life. And suddenly, everyone got real quiet. The cousins. The uncles. Even Kyle. Because the truth had court paperwork now. And guilt doesn't shout as loud when it's surrounded by facts. The family barbecue was a trap. I knew that the second I got the text invite from Aunt Rhonda. Just burgers and healing, don't be a stranger. Translation, we're going to corner you and guilt trip you into dropping the charges. I wasn't going to go, but something in me, maybe pride, maybe pettiness, said screw it. Let them say what they want. Let them look me in the eye and call me the villain. I had nothing to hide anymore. So I showed up. Kyle was already there, holding court like some backyard messiah. He made a loud joke when I arrived. Something about watch your wallets. People laughed. Fake and nervous. Mom was inside. She didn't come out. I made myself a plate, said hi to the 3 cousins who still talked to me, and waited. Didn't take long. Kyle came stomping over, eyes already red. You got some balls showing up here. I was invited, I said, sipping my soda. Oh, you were invited, he mocked. Look at you. Still thinking you're above everyone. You going to keep performing? I said. Or do you want to talk like an adult? He took that as a challenge. Started yelling. About how Mom was stressed, how the lawyer bills were killing her, how she hadn't slept since the court notice came. He even dragged in our childhood, how I always acted like she was some monster, how she bent over backwards to give us what little we had. People circled around. Hot dogs paused mid-bite. Aunt Rhonda gasped like she was watching live theater. Then Kyle said the thing that snapped it all. She made one mistake. And you sick the entire system on her? You're not a hero, Eric. You're a goddamn traitor. And I pulled out my phone. No emotion. No preamble. Just tapped play. The recording from our kitchen table. Mom's voice. Well, maybe it was an old account. I did what I had to. You'll understand when you're a parent. Crystal clear. Calm. Calculated. I looked around. This is what she said. On tape. After I showed her the loan documents. She didn't deny it. She justified it. Silence. No chewing now. Tell me again who betrayed who. Kyle's mouth opened, but nothing came out. He looked around for backup, but no one stepped up. Aunt Rhonda looked down. One cousin walked away. He threw his plate to the ground. You think this makes you right? No, I said. The court did that. I'm just the delivery guy. He stormed off. I finished my soda. Ate 2 bites of potato salad. Then I left. No one stopped me. No one said goodbye. By the time I got to my car, my hands were finally steady. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel like a guest in my own family. I felt like a man who told the truth and let it echo. The courtroom wasn't dramatic. No gasps. No shouting. Just fluorescent lights, dry voices, and the subtle tension of lives being quietly rearranged. Mom sat across the aisle with her attorney, a small man in a beige suit who looked like he handled a lot of DUIs and petty fraud. She wouldn't look at me. I didn't expect her to. When the judge called the case, I stood, swore in, told the story like I was reading it off someone else's script. Calm, focused, no cracks in the voice. My identity was used to open multiple lines of credit. I said. I did not authorize any of them. The mailing address for each was my mother's residence. The prosecutor walked through the evidence. Timestamps, IP logs, bank statements, voice transcripts. Played the audio clip where she called in and confirmed the loan in my name. I didn't look at her while it played, but I felt the room shift. Even the judge adjusted slightly in his seat. Her lawyer tried the family misunderstanding defense. Said she thought she had permission, that it was never malicious, that no serious harm had come to me. She just needed help, he said. She made a poor decision in a moment of desperation. The judge cut him off. Fraud isn't a misunderstanding, he said. It's a decision made repeatedly. Every time another form is filled out, another voice confirmation is made, another bill is ignored. He turned to her. Do you have anything to say, Mrs. Miller? She looked small in that chair. Not sick or frail, just exposed. Like the truth had pulled the makeup right off her face. I thought he'd understand, she said softly. He always had so much more than Kyle. I just wanted to balance things. There it was. Not an apology. Not remorse. Just justification. The judge nodded like he'd seen this before. Probably had. In light of the defendant's cooperation and agreement to restitution, he said, we'll proceed with a suspended sentence. The felony charge will be reduced to a misdemeanor, contingent on full repayment over 5 years and no further offenses. But let the record show, this is not a light matter. You violated your son's trust. That breach carries a weight no court can measure. He banged the gavel. That was it. She avoided jail. I got my name cleared. The first restitution check arrived 2 weeks later. $371.42. I didn't even cash it right away. Just stared at it. Signed in the same handwriting she used to write my birthday cards. Same name. Different weight. Outside the courthouse, she waited near the curb. Kyle wasn't there. She looked at me once. Not a glare, not a plea. Just a tired glance. I walked right past her. Not to be cruel, but because there was nothing left to say. You don't rebuild bridges made of debt and denial. You just walk the long way home and build new ones. On your own terms. I didn't hear from Kyle for a month after the court date, which, honestly, was a blessing. But silence in my family never lasted. It just built pressure. One Monday morning, I got a message from an old friend of his, a guy we both knew from high school. Yo, did you hear about Kyle's loan getting denied? I hadn't. I wasn't even sure why I would. So I clicked into curiosity mode. A few discreet searches later, I pieced it together. Kyle had been trying to start a consulting business. No real plan, just one of his usual pipe dreams, something vague involving coaching, YouTube, and crypto. He'd applied for a small business loan, but got flagged during the background check. Apparently, his name was tied to my mom's finances. She had made him a cosigner years ago on some shared card. Now, with the fraud charge and restitution order on her record, Kyle's application went red. Denied. Hard. He blew up online. Made a few Facebook posts ranting about broken families and betrayal and how some people weaponize the law. It didn't land well. Most people knew the truth by now. Some of the family had switched sides quietly. A few even messaged me privately, saying things like, I had no idea it was that serious. Sorry for jumping on you. I'd be furious if someone did that to me. One cousin even offered to help me fix my credit. That was the shift. For the first time in my life, the story wasn't his version. It wasn't mom's tears on speakerphone. It was my evidence. My voice. My line in the sand. Kyle tried to call once. I let it go to voicemail. He left a message that started calm and turned into a rant. Said I'd ruined his future, that I played victim for sympathy, and that this isn't over. I deleted it. Because it was over. Not in the cinematic, everyone hugs at the end way, but in the real way, where people reveal who they are, and you stop pretending they'll ever change. I removed Mom and Kyle from my emergency contacts. Set filters on my email. Gave a heads up to HR, in case anyone tried pulling a credit stunt at work. I wasn't being paranoid. I was being free. My world got quieter, smaller, cleaner, and honestly, it felt like breathing fresh air after years of inhaling smoke. My mom still sends cards. Christmas, birthdays, once even on tax day, subtle. I don't open them. I just add them to the drawer with the others. A quiet archive of a woman who taught me how to tie my shoes and how to file a fraud report. Kyle. Haven't heard his voice in over a year. Last I checked, he's still blaming me for a credit score he helped kill. The restitution checks keep coming. $371.42 every month. Never late. It's the most consistent thing she's ever done for me. Sometimes, I wonder if I went too far. If I should have handled it in the family. But then I remember. She didn't ask for help. She stole. He didn't protect me. He enabled her. And me? I finally stopped apologizing for saying no. Now I sleep like a man who knows the price of peace, and paid it in full.